Hello, everybody. Hey, we're doing an Ari Aster, I think is how you pronounce his name. I can't remember how to pronounce his damn director's name. Movie in my car, because it's a little late. And yeah, we didn't want to go see Black and Blue, because fuck it, who cares? And besides the fact, if we're gonna, it's about to be the witching day, the day of Halloween, here in just measly, as of recording now, 6 days? No, 5 days. It's like, why would we want to go see a crime film whenever instead we can watch a horror movie? So that's usually why we went and saw Midsommar.
I was most excited for you to come.
Well, technically Midsommar.
We didn't go and see it, we rented it.
Yeah, same difference. So,
Yes, we know you're a little doofy.
So I want Megan to lead us off in terms of her thoughts on it. Not because my thoughts are so much better, should we sit in on mine, but because I'm still running it through my head a little. So, what...
Well, same here. I mean, it's not quite Hereditary levels of the fuck did I just watch? But it's still like, what? What? Huh?
I think part of the issues is this movie is, or part of the good and the bad, this movie is very much steeped in pretty much Viking mythology in certain ways. There's never straight up saying like, oh, this is a Norse mythology person or Norse deity that we're worshiping or anything like that. But there's very obviously is runes that are Nordic. Mm-hmm. It's a nice way to put it. Or Scandinavian, technically. Mm-hmm. I don't know why I said that with a Midwestern accent. It's weird people. And those who are wondering what the plot of the movie is, you have a young girl, her name is Dani, I think. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dani. She and her pretty much kind of shithead boyfriend.
Christian.
Christian. And 3 of their friends go to Sweden because one of their friends is a foreign exchange student, Pele. Why he's named after a famous footballer, I don't know.
Well, Pele, or P-A-L-L-E.
Yeah, and they kept pronouncing it like Pele. So it was like, oh. But yeah, they are there to witness this Midsummer festival. In fact, this one of them, his name is Josh. He's doing this whole thesis over.
There's different ways that Europeans celebrate Midsummer and stuff. And then Christian decides, you know what? I'm gonna do my thesis over this little village that we're in.
Yeah, even though, like, Josh had already said he's doing this, and...
Well, technically Josh, he's doing that, but he's also, want to talk with people in all these other European countries.
Obviously, he's wanting to do, old Germanic tribes, some people who still practice some of those more pagan rituals.
Yeah, he gets offended that Christian has chosen to do that village. He's like, dude, I've already said that I want to do this.
Yeah, it's I don't know, I'm kind of at a loss with this movie at times. There is some certainly really decent ideas. I think one of the issues I have with the movie is it's not much of a horror film. There is horrific stuff that happens, like at one point, 2 of the...
Blood Eagle comes to mind.
Those who know anything about Viking rituals. But one, more importantly, there is these 2 older people. They sacrifice themselves in all essence because they are older. And they're like, well, instead of them, just dying and rotting away, they jump off a cliff. One face plants straight into a rock.
Dies instantly.
Yeah, it's kind of horrific and gruesome. And then their guy, he falls and he just breaks his leg in a terrible way. And they go up with a hammer and just whack.
right in the face.
And they do it a couple times, like, he's dead.
Just making sure, apparently.
And like I said, that it's horrific, but like there's no horror, there's no jump scares, there's no tension, and I think that's kind of the problem that I was kind of having with the movie.
Yeah, there's nothing really that's creepy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, with Hereditary, you know, you had certain things that were creepy, even if they weren't straight up jump scares. Where it's like, ooh, that's...
There was a lot of foreboding nature.
Yeah, like there was stuff going on in the background in the dark, or like the old woman just standing there off in the corner of the room, and I was like,
Yeah, and the character who you're watching just not notice them. It's like, you're doing one of those.
The ghost!
Yeah, this and Midsommar, the big issue is just that there's...
It's weird.
Yeah, and that's just the basis of the movie. Is like, you really want to pull it down to, them Scandinavians sure are weird, eh? I don't know why I went Canadian with it this time. I cannot do an accent really to save my life.
No, you can't settle on an accent.
I'm from Sweden, yeah.
But you're wearing lederhosen.
I'm from Sweden, yeah. Sorry. Love trading places. Oh. But yeah, since it's not really a horror movie, not because it's in the daytime, but just because it's at best kind of like a thriller. There's not really horror throughout it. In fact, there's some parts that I think are supposed to be really horrific that I was kind of laughing at.
Yeah, I'm not sure they were meant to be horrific, more just like, okay, like kind of weird, but it was just like...
Yeah, like a dude getting sewed into a bear costume.
Yeah.
Or actually, I should say, not a bear costume, a bear pelt.
Yeah, it's not meant to be an actual costume. It's meant to be this bear they've, like, they killed and, like, emptied out and put him in. It's like...
Yeah, so
Like, okay. Well, I was thinking specifically of the... Not really orgies.
yes, God, so weird.
Yeah, these people are so empathetic towards others that when someone is in pain emotionally, they will cry with them. If someone is in pain physically, they'll like moan and cry with them. It's like,
That comes off really funny at times. There's sometimes it's really funny. Like,
yeah, there's one point he's like Christian. He's having to mate with this one lady in the village, try and get her pregnant, and like there's a bunch of other naked women of different ages kind of surrounding them and kind of like moaning with them, and so one lady even kind of like goes up and like pushes his butt.
I expect you to go right up in there.
Ridiculous looking, like
It's like, well,
he's
I
just
can't say I've
there.
seen the stupidest thing till now.
Yeah, and he's like high off his mind thanks to this thing they gave him. And he's just like, huh?
Was that a finger?
Like he's just like, it's like just staring wide eyed the entire. Like it's just unintentionally funny.
Yeah, and that's kind of the issue, is that, like, Hereditary, whenever it had some of those almost unintentionally hilarious things, they were offset by some really fucking horrific and very spooky-ass shit happening around things.
Was it,
Like, yeah.
it's like, oh,
It's like, oh, goddamn,
head.
what happened here? Oh, the head's gone. Ooh, ooh. Yeah, here, Midsommar, I think it's just because there's too much where it wants you to, I guess, be afraid of this, for lack of a better way to put it, it's a cult. It's like, well,
yeah, they call it a commune. Like, well,
they're a goddamn cult.
yeah, a lot of hippie communes are very cult-like.
Yeah.
Apparently, just
Think like Charles Manson's Manson family, except for they tend to sacrifice their own people.
Yeah, like for a bountiful harvest, they'll sacrifice 9 people for their own people, 4 outsiders, and then 1 person who can be either an outsider or one of their own. It's all up to like the May Queen, who just so happens to be Danny.
Yeah, she eventually is chosen. That's actually kind of a bit of a spoiler for the movie. Spoilers, I guess. At least I warn people sometimes. Sometimes.
This movie has been out for a while, honey.
It's only been out since July. But still, just like trying to think of the movie. I think another issue with the movie, much like Hereditary, though I think worse here, this movie is a bit on the slow side. Like, it draws some shit out. Like, there's a lot of scenes that, for lack of a better way to put it, it's like they don't really need to exist.
Yeah, I will say Hereditary was a slow burn, but once it finally picked up, like that train kept rolling.
Yeah.
This, like, something shocking would happen, or kind of like, oh, like, the meat.
Pube pie.
And usually point out, like, oh, you know, it's this drink?
Yeah.
Like, oh, God.
Just to let y'all know, there is a thing about in this culture, and it is actually a pretty well done little shot where it kind of shows this little tapestry of how women say that they want to mate with this one guy. They
pretty much like cast a love spell on him.
Yeah.
Put this like love ruin under his bed so he'll dream of them. And then like put one of their pubes
in their food.
Make him eat it.
And then have a period, I guess.
Menstruate into
a drink that they will drink.
Yeah, it was much darker than the lemonade that everybody else was.
Mm-hmm. And
yeah, it was like after the people was like, oh my God, you notice his drink?
Yeah, it's like, and there are things like that. That's really kind of a gross kind of horror. And I think that's the thing. It's like, it's trying to go for more of a horror, like, say, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, though this is a lot more explicit than Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Those who really hate Texas Chainsaw Massacre because it's scary, it's like, it's more what you don't see. There's not a whole lot of gore, really, in the movie.
Yeah, it's more like trying to guess, like, oh, this one thing's gonna happen. And it's like, oh, I guess this one person can do this one thing, and like, okay.
Yeah. And it's just more seeing what new weird fucking thing that this cult is going to do. And it's not that it's bad by any stretch of imagination. Just it's the issue, like kind of saying, it's like this movie's a lot on the slow side. It's a little
like it will slow down with some of the weirdness and some of the gore, but then it'll like kind of slow down a little bit and then pick back up, and then it was kind of uneven.
It's very start-stoppish. It'll go with something and it kind of stops. Yeah, it goes and stops. And it's like, all right, it's like, just keep going with it. Keep rolling forward. And that's just the issue, that this movie just doesn't really consistently keep moving forward at times in terms of the freaking us out. And if it did that, I think the movie would be a lot more powerful. Also, it does not help that at the very beginning, we get to learn that Dani, her sister, is very suicidal.
Yeah.
And she ends up killing herself and Dani's parents.
She sends a message to Dani saying, oh, I'm leaving, and this time our parents are coming with me. It's like, what? And it's like she's trying to call her, like, okay, what the hell? And
eventually she learns, I'm guessing through authorities, that
yeah, she gets an unknown call, presumably from, again, the authorities, who inform her that her sister and parents have been killed, have died, and you actually see carbon monoxide from a car in the garage has been piped into the parents' room, as well as like directly into the sister's mouth.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's a horrific thing, but sometimes it's also really, really silly. Because she has taped her face like this. And it's just like, Why? Why did we go with this image? It's like, there's points where that could be, really freaky. There's things that could make that really, really,
And also, like, there's like a little bit of like vomit.
Yeah.
On her shirt. Like, well, if she had taped her mouth, then it's like how the vomit gonna. Just a minor little issue. Just
for me, it's just that didn't really need to be there. I think, like, it could have, because the scene technically takes like 15, 20 minutes. It feels like to build to this point that I was like, all right, we know where this is gonna go, and realistically, you have to see Christian being a shithead. He is a shitty fucking boyfriend.
Yeah, he feels like he has to be there for her. Otherwise, he's an asshole. But really, he doesn't want to be in a relationship. He's, and she's worried, like, oh, what if I lean on him too much? What if I just, and her friends tell her, it's like, he's supposed to be there for you. And if he's not, then clearly he's not the right man for you. And, good riddance.
Yeah.
Which, yeah.
And I think also that scenario was kind of having, like, the only technically three-dimensional characters in terms of the main ones that are Americans, because you have Danny, Josh, Mark. He's played by one guy who's actually kind of, I don't recognize the guy who plays Josh or Christian at all, unfortunately. But the guy who plays Mark, he's very well known for being We're the Millers, the Maze Runner movies. Detroit, he was one of the asshole cops. Pretty much like kind of the leader of them all. And probably the most famous out of all the people, I think, in this entire film. And it's not that, like I said, it's like you have these four. It's not they're bad. Just Josh is completely focused on his thesis to the point to where he does a lot of really stupid fucking things. And some things that really fly in the face of how a person would act. Because, like, one of the first things they witness is the people killing themselves. And he's appalled with them, but at the same time, they just kind of go with it. And I get that they're trying to do a thesis, but it's like...
Yeah, they're like, oh, wow. And, like, but we're trying to keep an open mind.
Yeah, it's like...
And someone even points out that, like, well, we, put our elderly, in nursing homes, and they probably find that horrific.
Yeah, and it's like... That you don't cut their hands and make them have to rub a thingy. And then hope to God that, I died instead of somebody has to come over and whack me with a mallet. But yeah, Josh is...
I would say, we at least let them live.
Yeah. Josh is a little bit of a... He's very single-minded to the point where he's kind of stupid.
Yeah, he's kind of flying in the face of these traditions. Like, there's this book of ruins. It's supposed to be like sheet music almost, written down by an oracle, which in every generation is someone who's specifically
inbred.
Yeah, who's specifically the product of inbreeding. It's like, yeah, because all matings have to go through like this council or something.
Yeah. Well, if I opened it and there was somebody back there, I'd just fucking shit my pants and die.
But yeah, he's wanting to photograph this book.
For reasons, I guess.
For part of his thesis, and they're like, no, you can't photograph this. Because apparently it's very sacred to them. Which, okay, whatever, that's understandable, I guess. But then he, like, sneaks in there and takes pictures and...
Gets killed by somebody wearing his friend's skin. Mm-hmm. I'm not shitting you there. It's literally Leatherface and all. The only thing that's different is doesn't have a fucking chainsaw. Who gets whacked by a fucking hammer?
I would say I'm not too happy with the friend, Mark. because he peed on this old tree, and they're trying to explain, it's like, okay, well, this is, tied to our ancestors. This is very important to us. He's like, well, so what? It's just a dead tree. I had to pee.
Yeah, it's one of those that he's another, these single, one-dimensional characters that he's just there for grass and ass. And
yeah.
it's like, okay, and the whole time in the whole movie, he's really fucking unlikable. It's an issue where I have to compare it to Hereditary, since I
must say, nobody in this movie is really likable except for Danny and Pele or whatever.
Even then, Pele is just, he's tolerable. It's not so much that you like him, you're like, alright, I can put up with you, because you're not a complete nerd shithead.
Yeah, he's actually kind of nice. Like, he remembers that it's Dane's birthday, and he wishes her happy birthday, and he makes her, like, a little sketch of her.
Mm-hmm.
And even, like, has to remind her boyfriend, like, oh, it's her birthday. And I'm pretty sure he gives him this little piece of cake and candle and stuff to light, to give to Danny.
Yeah, but like I said, the issue with it is just, like I said, because you have unlikable characters, and you also have very bland characters, for lack of a better way to describe them. Because Josh is like, I'm college person. Mark is, I am drug person. And Christian is, I am horn toad person, who just randomly decides to do that. Even then, he's given slightly more to do than the others. But even then, his thing is to stick his penis in somebody. And Danny, you feel for her plight because she lost her sister and her family. But I guess it's because we're constantly given that over and over and over again. It's like, I fucking get it, movie. Goddamn, can we move
when
on?
the old people commit suicide,
She has a nightmare.
Yeah, she's reminded of her parents, and it really kind of sticks with her, and she's like horrified.
Yeah, and then she has a nightmare that shows, oh, well, she was imagining that she was thinking about her parents and her sister killed. It's like, I fucking got it, movie. I got that whenever that first happened. It would have been fantastic symbolism without this nightmare sequence.
And I think in some weird way, this cult, this commune, is supposed to be like her new family. Supposed to be taking place of her parents and sister that she lost.
I think so, but
because they're there for her in a way that Christian obviously isn't.
Yeah, but either way, like I said, the issue just with the movie is just it's a bit slow, to put it lightly.
Again, inconsistent.
Yeah, and it's a movie that it takes its time with too much. It takes its time with eventually deciding to start killing off people. Well, it's not that, oh, I want you to start killing people as quickly as possible, but whenever it wants to show us all these other things, it's done for art's sake and not for plot's sake. And I don't like us simply focusing on simply the art. It's like, we can have both. Hereditary is a very good example of that.
And also, like, a couple people were killed off, like, off-screen. I think one, like, it kind of hinted at they were going to be killed, but with Mark, he just kind of, like, wanders off, and then later someone's wearing his face, like, naked.
Yeah.
Or something, like, okay.
It's odd. It's a nice way to play it. And I think that's the big issue. Just the movie, it never fully comes around. It feels, lack of a better way to put it, feels almost incomplete. Even though it's still a 2.5 hour long set. It's like the movie feels like it needs something else. It needs a little bit more.
Yeah, it just kind of ends. It's like, what?
Yeah, it's not like with Hereditary where you get what it's trying to say by the end, even though the end you're actually kind of really relieved for, not because, oh, the movie's over, but also because you're like, that was a lot to fucking process. This is just like, movie's done.
Yeah, the ending of Hereditary made sense because oh, this is what this is all culminating to. The end of Midsummer, it's like,
It is about the culmination of the, pretty much Midsummer Festival, but in the same instance, it also has the issue of
because really the main focus is Danny.
Yeah. And I think that would have been a much better film if it had been focusing on her coming to terms with her grief and dealing with that. That would have been a much more powerful movie, I think. And I think that's what this movie wanted to do, but instead, because it kind of hems and haws with different things, it kind of just falls apart. What would have helped is if the three other people, Josh, Mark, and Christian, if they would have been personifications on what her actual identity was. Sorry, I'm getting a little deep in this, people. I might be getting too smart. I might need to fart afterwards just to make it seem like I actually am not as a state of a film kind of thing as I want to pretend I am. I'm not. But if you had each one maybe represent her in a fashion, like Mark maybe represent her angry side, and we actually saw a side of her anger, or Christian recognized he did make sense as a bit of a metaphor in a way, that he was her crutch that she needed to lose to realize what is important is her, not, this guy. But the other two just simply didn't have a purpose, and that's, I think, where the movie has its issues. Because you have two, pretty much the best way to put it is unnecessary characters. They're just bodies to add to the count by the end of it all. And ultimately, I think either it needed to add more characterization to them to make them resemble Danny in certain, pretty much in the best way I put it, like, well, Danny's really smart. Well, this guy's really smart, but he's also a bit of a dickhead. Okay, well, there's some parallels there. Or we need to see them die. Not because we want to see them die, but realistically, the only person you see die technically is Christian and Josh. And even then, it's very quick. Mark is, like Megan's already said, it's completely
off screen, just almost out of nowhere.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, I figure he's dead because he's not coming back. Two other characters that kind of just randomly show up that originally freaked out about the two old people that killed themselves.
Yeah, these two outsiders from London, Simon and Connie.
Who don't really have English accents. It's kind of funny.
A little bit they do at one point, but it's like not. It's fades in and out.
Yeah, it's a had accent. It's just like Pierce Brosnan's tan. It's kind of muddled. There's a Miss Doubtfire quote for you. But yeah, I think if you gave them something to show, it's like this is Danny letting go of her past self or anything like that, that would have been a much more powerful, much stronger message, I think. Instead, it kind of feels like weirdness for weirdness sake.
Yeah, instead she catches him having sex with this one girl to impregnate her, and she's devastated, and like as the May Queen, she's allowed to choose the ninth and final sacrifice, and of course she chooses Christian. Not that I fully blame her. And as everyone is burning to death, everyone, like all the rest of the villagers, are like acting like they're on fire, acting like they're in pain. And at first, Danny is like horrified with this and horrified with what she's done. But then she just kind of starts smiling. It's like, and then end.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, what the hell?
I think what's not helping that is that those scenes are just jammed in the middle of the, or jammed at the end. In the middle of the movie. It would have been helpful if one of them was jammed at the middle. Because they're just so smushed together, it doesn't have the same meat as Hereditary did in terms of trying to just build this just cacophony of pretty much terror. And sure, it's not trying to build up terror, but it's seeming like it's trying to build up this revitalization of Danny. And instead, it really doesn't do that. Instead, it just feels like, oh, well, she decides this because, fuck him. And it's like, all right, well, this kind of comes these shit out of nowhere and just ends. It's like, okay, so I guess they told Ari Aster's like, all right, quit your fucking shit and just fucking finish the movie. It's probably a 3.5 hour long flick. And like, no, we don't care about watching the flowers for an hour, Ari.
Well, I'm not mistaken, they made him cut out like 17 minutes of the movie or something.
They should have made him come out a lot more of this movie. It's not that the movie is bad by any stretch of the imagination. He still has an incredibly good eye for filmmaking. He can do some really good shots, but fuck me, does he need to learn to edit. Him and Quentin Tarantino learned to fucking edit. Even though his latest movie was 2 hours and 40 minutes long, it at least felt like, all right, this stuff needs to be here. There's chunks of this movie that, all right, this 15 minutes can go. Yo, that 20 minutes, you can cut that down to 5. And I'm not one to sit there and try and cut down character development, but there's sometimes whenever it's not building up dread and it's just these long, lingering shots over nothing. And nothing is happening. It's not even weird stuff happening. It's just watching people cook or these other things. It's like, I don't care, guys. I just fucking don't care. Because after a while, I run out of patience for a movie. Like, at most, this movie should have been 2 hours long. At most. And even then, that feels generous. And the other thing I'm going to say, as a bit of a person who has watched a lot of these horror films. Sorry, we're dragging this on a bit. This is Wicker Man. Not the Nicolas Cage one. That movie is just a gem in and of itself. It is so much fun. Those who have never seen a Nicolas Cage Wicker Man need to. Nicolas Cage gets in a bear costume and punches Lay in the face. It's hilarious.
Okay.
But yeah, there is a lot of obvious parallels to the original Wicker Man. And it's a cult from that nobody's really seen. This outsider's pretty much pulled in and used as a sacrifice and all this stuff. You name me a cult movie. Hell, again, I mentioned it already. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Hell, you could think Helter Skelter. It's a cult movie that really, this is nothing new that you haven't seen from these other films. And the only other new thing it adds is a better directorial eye at times. Or cinematic view, I guess would be a better way of putting it. And that's cool and all, but if you also make me do this a lot, where I'm like, can we get this fucking on the road? I mean, you're not gonna piss me off fully, but I am gonna be really, really uninterested in watching it ever again. Yeah, I'm not trying to shit all over this movie. Like I said, it looks good. It looks very good. It's actually a very unique premise in the fact that it's all set during the day. Like, there's very little that happens during the night. And in fact, sorry, I'm hearing a plane. I thought there was something rolling behind me. There was like one shot and one thing, or not one shot, one scene that happened during the night. If they would have not done it at night, it would have been much more powerful, I think, and would have helped to keep that theme of summer around. I don't know. I find it hard to recommend it. Hereditary was not a hard film to recommend. It's hard to tell people, it's like, all right, you're going to love it. It's like, it's just one of those, like, you need to watch it.
Yeah, watch it, really pay attention, and so maybe watch it a couple more times.
Yeah, so I think pick up on the shit you probably missed. This, I don't think it's as needed. I think because there is so many other films that have done this before. Maybe there's certain things this does better, but there's a lot of things this does worse. Again, the characters are kind of stock. They're very much 70s characters. So, what would you give this as a final score?
Well, I didn't hate this.
I knew.
I mean, it was alright. It had a number of issues. Like, just inconsistent with the pacing, like we said. But
Yeah.
overall, I think I'd have to give it, like, a 6.
I kind of waffled for a bit. I was thinking, okay, maybe this is going to be, better. I had an idea that this was going to be what we kind of talked about and what I kind of described in the fact that, it's a movie about a woman struggling through her grief and actually coming to terms with it.
Yeah.
Because she never really goes through the stages of grief, which would have, again, been a better story. It's like, it would have been one thing if they had her, pretty much you see her going through the stages of grief, and that's what the cult is kind of helping her go through. That would have actually been an interesting story. It's not exactly 100% new, but here was what this movie ended up doing.
Yeah, she's either, like, sobbing her heart out, or she's trying to act like she's fine.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, it's understandable, this poor girl, she went through shit, but it's like, one's like...
And by the end of it, she dumps her boyfriend, her shitty boyfriend, and gets a new family.
Yeah.
At least I'm assuming that's where they're going with that she's going to stay with them.
Yeah, she's pretty much their new matriarch in a way. But yeah, I hate to dunk on the movie. It's a 4. It's not that it's terrible, but especially if you are as prolific of a lover of schlock as I am, and you've watched a lot of horror movies in your lifetime, or you have watched especially a lot of cult movies, this is going to ring a lot hollow to you. And it's going to seem like it's a lot of less homage and straight ripping off. It's not terrible. There is, like I said, it looks gorgeous. The movie is beautiful to behold. And Danny, I will say, the young actress they got to play her, she does a fantastic job. And that's the other thing. The acting for what the characters are given is fantastic. Just, god damn, are some of the characters really fucking unneeded, it feels like. Or they're just really, really piss poor. Like Mark. I cannot stand Mark. It's like, okay, I get it. But he is a dickhead that...
It's like, push him off a cliff.
It's like... And that's the issue. It's like, you can't have, this movie where you pretty much have a body count, but the bodies are waiting to see them die. It's like, that's part of the problem with new slasher films.
Flim flam.
Flim flams. Oh, so, if you haven't seen Midsommar, I would be hard-pressed to try and recommend it. If you struggled with Hereditary, or more importantly, if you have seen a lot of cult films, hell, actually cult classic films even at times, you're gonna be bored. You're gonna be really bored, and you're gonna be guessing and getting right a lot of what shit is happening. And there's sometimes where it could have went more horrific than it did, and it's like, okay, well, thanks, movie, for being really, really pussied, I should say.
Pussified.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm really tired. Oh.
Me too, I'm about to just...
So yeah, if you are really interested in the movie, maybe there is also, I will say, there is some unintentional hilarity at times. It's actually pretty funny that we kind of giggled our asses off at.
Yeah, Christian just...
Christian's look at times is the best thing ever. But yeah, miss it. You have better ways to waste your time in our eyes. But hey, that's what we're gonna do next.
Almost there.
Never had to do it twice. We've been going on a while then.
Anyhow.
But yeah, we'll be back with y'all soon though, because we're gonna talk about another movie that, unfortunately, we kind of already know how it ends. But hey, we haven't seen the rest of it to justify it, and also, get to introduce Megan to the wonderful thing of Michael Peel. Wait, no, Jordan Peele is his name, right? Michael Key, yeah. So, oh, I mean, I'm stupid. Like, we're gonna be watching Us, so we'll see how that turns out. So until then, everybody, we'll see y'all later. So bye bye.
Bye bye.